There is a concept so radical, so counterintuitive that most people reject it immediately. Not just accepting what happens to you, not just tolerating the hardships, but loving them. Actively choosing to love your fate, every single part of it, especially the painful parts. The Stoics called it Amor Fati, and it is without exaggeration the most powerful idea in the history of philosophy. Amor Fati translates from Latin as love of fate, not tolerance of fate. Not acceptance of fate. Love, the word choice is deliberate and it changes everything. Acceptance says, this happened and I'll deal with it. That's stoic, that's useful, that's what we've been exploring across this entire series. The dichotomy of control, memento mori, the discipline of perception, premeditatio malorum, all of them are tools of acceptance. They help you endure what life throws at you without breaking. But Amor Fati goes further. Amor Fati says, this happened and I'm glad it did. Not in spite of the pain, because of what the pain made possible. The failure didn't just happen to me. It built something in me that success never could have. The loss didn't just take something away. It revealed what actually mattered. The hardship didn't just test me. It created the version of me that was strong enough to be worth testing. This is the Stoic final exam. Everything else in the philosophy is preparation. The dichotomy of control teaches you what to release. Memento mori teaches you what to value. The evening review teaches you how to improve. But Amor Fati asks the ultimate question. Can you take everything life has given you, including the worst of it, and say yes, not just I survived it, but I needed it? Marcus Aurelius never used the phrase Amor Fati. The Latin term came later through Nietzsche. But the concept is everywhere in the Meditations, and Marcus expressed it through one of the most powerful metaphors in philosophical history. In Book 7 he writes, "A blazing fire makes flame and brightness out of everything that is thrown into it." Think about what a fire does. You throw wood into it, the fire grows. You throw obstacles into it, the fire consumes them and becomes larger. You throw wet logs, green branches, even garbage into a strong enough fire and it doesn't go out. It transforms the material into heat and light. The fire doesn't care what you give it. It uses everything. Marcus is saying, be the fire. When life throws difficulty at you, don't treat it as something that diminishes you. Treat it as fuel. The insult that was supposed to wound you, fuel. The failure that was supposed to define you, fuel. The loss that was supposed to break you, fuel. A strong enough fire turns everything into brightness, and a strong enough character turns everything into growth. In Book 5, he extends this. He writes that the rational mind can convert every obstacle into material for its own work. Every impediment to action becomes an action. What stands in the way becomes the way. That last line should sound familiar. It's where this entire series began. Video 1. The obstacle is the way, and now 30 videos later we arrive at the full meaning. The obstacle isn't just something you endure, it's something you love. Because without it the fire has nothing to burn, and without burning the fire goes out. 18 centuries after Marcus, the German philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche took this Stoic seed and gave it its name, Amor Fati, and he called it his formula for human greatness. Nietzsche wrote, "My formula for greatness in a human being is Amor Fati. That one wants nothing to be different, not forward, not backward, not in all eternity, not merely bear what is necessary, but love it." Notice the escalation, not bear, not accept. Love, want nothing to be different. Because if you change any single piece of your past, you change the person you became because of it. And if the person you are now has any value, then everything that made you, including the worst of it, was essential. This is not blind optimism. Nietzsche suffered chronic illness, isolation, and eventually madness. He knew pain intimately. And still, from the center of that pain, he declared that the highest achievement of the human spirit is to look at your existence and say, "I would live it again, exactly as it was." That declaration is not the starting point of a philosophical journey. It's the destination. Everything the Stoics taught leads here, where acceptance becomes love, where endurance becomes embrace, where the person forged by suffering looks back at the forge and says, "Thank you." Why is this idea so transformative? Because it eliminates the one thing that causes more suffering than suffering itself, the belief that your suffering shouldn't have happened. Think about how much mental energy goes toward resenting the past, wishing things had been different, replaying decisions you can't unmake. That activity changes nothing about the past, but it poisons the present. You're not just carrying the original pain, you're carrying the additional pain of believing the original pain was wrong. Amor Fati removes that second layer entirely. When you love your fate, there's nothing to resent, no alternate version to fantasize about. No should have been. There is only what was, what is, and what you'll make of it. That radical simplification frees an enormous amount of energy that was previously trapped in regret. This doesn't mean you stop trying to improve your circumstances. Amor Fati applies to the past, not the future. You love what has already happened because fighting it is self-destruction. You still work to shape what comes next, but you work from wholeness rather than resentment, from gratitude rather than grievance. So how do you practice loving your fate when your fate includes things that genuinely hurt? You don't start with the worst thing. You start with the small things, the flight that got delayed, the plan that fell apart, the conversation that didn't go the way you wanted. Practice saying in those minor moments, "Good, this is material. What can I make from this?" Not forcing yourself to feel positive, just refusing to add a layer of resentment to the inconvenience. Over time, you extend the practice. The project that failed, good. What did it teach me that success never could? The relationship that ended, good. What did I discover about myself that comfort would have kept hidden? And eventually, if you practice long enough and honestly enough, you arrive at the hardest and most liberating moment. You look at the single worst thing that ever happened to you. The thing you've carried for years, the thing you've wished 1,000 times you could undo. And you say, "I wouldn't change it," not because it didn't hurt, because without it I wouldn't be the person sitting here having this thought, capable of this understanding. And that person formed by fire is someone worth being. That is Amor Fati, and it is not something you achieve once. It's something you practice every day, one small acceptance at a time, until the acceptance becomes love. Here's your final challenge, the last one in this series. Take the most painful experience of your life, the one you've carried longest, the one you've wished away the most. And instead of saying, "This happened to me," try writing this sentence. "This happened for me, and here is what it gave me." Write down what the experience gave you. Not what it took, what it gave, the strength, the compassion, the clarity, the direction it forced you into that you never would have chosen on your own. This is not about pretending it didn't hurt. It's about refusing to let the hurt be the entire story. Somewhere inside that pain is the raw material that made you who you are, including the fire, especially the fire. 30 videos ago, we started with a Roman emperor in a tent on the frozen frontier, writing about how obstacles become the way. We've traveled through slavery and exile, through anger and anxiety, through loneliness and loss, through the morning preparation and the evening review, through the discipline of perception and the dichotomy of control. And it all leads here, to the final teaching, the one that contains all the others. Love your fate, not because it was easy, because it was yours, and because you, shaped by all of it, are worth the fire that forged you. A blazing fire makes flame and brightness out of everything that is thrown into it. If this series changed how you think about life, subscribe so you never miss what comes next. Drop a comment telling me which video across all 30 hit you hardest. I read every single one.